Well, hello and welcome to Storytime with Mr. P. Now, this week's reading task, once again, we're utilising the skills that we have learnt over the last couple of weeks. We're looking at cause and effect and predictions, okay, together to see the events. Okay, so the cause and effect is all about the events, and we're sort of predicting what would have happened if those events didn't occur. Okay, so there's events in the book for a reason. What would possibly happen if those events didn't occur? So what we're going to do as a model, we're going to read the book, Sizzle the Grumpy Dragon. Okay, then we're going to identify 3 cause and effects. So 3 events that happened in the story and what happened from those events. And then we're going to predict what would have happened. So, Sizzle the Grumpy Dragon. Sizzle the Dragon had a bad cold. His nose was red and he sneezed all day long. He tried to blow fire from his nose, but he could only huff and puff. "You have a cold," said his friends. "You will blow fire when you are better." But Sizzle sat on a log and felt very grumpy. "You can have my blue scarf to keep you warm," said Dinky Dog. "And my red scarf," said Holly Hare. "And my yellow scarf," said Fluffy Cat. Buzzy Bee gave him some honey. Nutty Squirrel gave him some acorn tea. But Sizzle was still a very grumpy dragon. "We must cheer Sizzle up," said Dinky Dog. Every day they told him funny jokes. Holly Hare stood on her head and sang songs. Fluffy Cat ran after her own tail. Buzzy Bee flew past upside down. But Sizzle did not smile. "I have a bad cold," he said. "I feel very grumpy." Then Dinky Dog juggled balls in the air. He dropped 2 and 3 hit him on the head. Sizzle still did not smile. Then Nutty Squirrel wore a silly hat and made a funny face, but Sizzle was still grumpy. His friends went away and left him on his own. The next day, Sizzle woke up early. "Do you know what day it is today, Fluffy Cat?" asked Sizzle. "It is Friday," said Fluffy Cat. "Do you know what day it is today, Buzzy Bee?" asked Sizzle. "Yes, it is Friday," said Buzzy Bee. Sizzle felt very grumpy again. No one knew it was his birthday. "Please, can I have my blue scarf back?" asked Dinky Dog. "And my red scarf," said Holly Hare. "And my yellow scarf," said Fluffy Cat. "I'm not better yet," said Sizzle. But he did not sniff or sneeze at all. He took off the scarves. "Now my neck is cold," he said. His friends had a lot of work to do. Sizzle was too grumpy to help, so he sat under a tree. He saw Dinky Dog collecting wood, then Holly Hare made a big pile of leaves. Fluffy Cat helped Nutty Squirrel to carry some boxes. Buzzy Bee buzzed by with some twigs. Finally, there was a big pile of wood and leaves. The animals stood and looked at their bonfire. "We cannot light our bonfire," said Nutty Squirrel. Then they saw Sizzle under the tree. "Please light our bonfire, Sizzle," said Dinky Dog. But Sizzle would not even try. "I cannot blow fire," he said. "I still have a cold." But his friends knew he was better. So Nutty Squirrel took a pepper pot and climbed to the top of the tree. He shook some pepper over Sizzle. "My nose tickles," said Sizzle. Nutty shook more pepper onto Sizzle. "Now my nose really tickles," said Sizzle. Then Sizzle gave a very, very big sneeze. Chishoo! Fire and smoke blew from his nose. It blew through the trees and lit the bonfire. "Well done, Sizzle," said his friends. "We knew your cold was better." But Sizzle was still grumpy. "It is my birthday," he said. But no one had heard him. Then he saw Dinky Dog's blue scarf, and Holly Hare's red scarf, and Fluffy Cat's yellow scarf. They were hanging from the trees. They had "Happy Birthday Sizzle" on them in big letters. "You knew it was my birthday all the time," said Sizzle. "We are going to have a party," said Buzzy Bee. They had hot food cooked on the fire. They danced and played games until it was very late. Sizzle had a lot of fun. "I will never be grumpy again," he said. "From now on, I will smile all the time." Fluffy Cat made a big birthday cake. "Now your cold is better. You can light the candles," he said. Sizzle blew fire from his nose and lit all 6 candles. Happy birthday, dear Sizzle. Happy birthday to you, sang his friends. Sizzle smiled. He was a very happy dragon indeed. Okay, so there's our book, and here's the activity that I've prepared to show you what we're going to be learning about. Okay, so there we have, we have Sizzle the Grumpy Dragon, so that's my title because that's the book. I have my 3 causes and effects, and then my predictions on what would have happened if those events did not happen. Okay, so remember the cause is the event that happened, and then the effect is what happened because of that event. Okay, so my first cause and effect is Sizzle had a cold, so that was an event in the book, and the effect of that was that he could not blow fire. Okay, my second cause and effect is Nutty Squirrel sprayed pepper, so Sizzle could sneeze. Okay, my cause is that because the event was the Nutty Squirrel was spraying the pepper, because of that event, Sizzle was able to sneeze. Okay, and my third cause and effect, the animals took their scarves back so they could write happy birthday. So the event was they took their scarves back, and what happened because of that event was that they were able to do happy birthday signs on their scarves. Okay, so that's the event part of it. So as I said, we did that in week 4, so we should be all over that. Now this is what we did last week. We did a bit of predicting based on the evidence in the text. Okay, today we're predicting from the actual events that happened and what would have happened if it didn't happen. So if my first cause and effect didn't happen, so if Sizzle didn't have a cold, I don't think he wouldn't have been grumpy. I think he would have stayed happy. Okay, so that's me going, okay, if this event wasn't in the book, there's a fair chance that he would have been happy. If my second cause and effect didn't happen, then Sizzle would not have realised that he had his fire back. Okay, so if Nutty Squirrel hadn't have got the pepper out, he would have just stayed grumpy, thinking that his fire wasn't back. Okay, so that event was pretty important. And if that didn't happen, he would have just stayed grumpy. Well, that was my prediction anyway. And if my third cause and effect didn't happen, then the animals would not have been able to get the party ready and cheer up Sizzle. Okay, so once again, if that event didn't happen, they wouldn't have been able to cheer him up because he still would have been grumpy. So if they weren't able to get their scarves back, if Sizzle wouldn't have let them take their scarves, they wouldn't have been able to write the happy birthday. Then they wouldn't have been able to have the party, and then he wouldn't have been happy. Okay, so that's the evidence that I'm using for my predictions on the events. All right. So all we're doing is basically putting together week 4 skills and week 5 skills, and then putting them together. Okay. So in the books that we read throughout the week, now I may have a couple of the books that we read last week. Okay, because I think they'll be really, really good books for predicting of what could have possibly happened if the event didn't occur. And as we do in class, we sometimes read a book once or twice, so it's not going to be too bad. So I will have a few books, probably 2, maybe 3 books that we actually had read last week to basically do this because they were really good for cause and effect and what could possibly happen afterwards. Okay, so that is our task for reading this week. We identify 3 cause and effects, which we've already got the skills for because we did that in week 4. We then predict what would have happened if those events didn't happen in the book. Okay, so if the author didn't put those events in, how would the story have been different? Okay, so that's you predicting and using that evidence. So hopefully good luck with it. Once again, if you're a bit unsure, come back, have a look at the video at any time, and hopefully we get some good learning throughout the week for our cause and effect and our predicting. Thank you.